looking inside yourself and saying, yeah, I'm wrong. When you're like constantly, I was right, I can validate everything I've done. I feel like I'm justified, I'm this and that. And then you have to really take a moment, suck up your pride, open your eyes to what's really going on and saying, yeah, I fucked this up.
Yeah, I was wrong with that one.
I'm wrong. I was 38. I got into I went to weigh-ins and we faced off, and I'm like, she's like 21. Oh my, maybe like this is just a little girl. And then I'm like, but I got this, and I'm like, let me stare her down. And I was like, I'm going to break her will. Like I did. And then the next night, they get you in the cage, this big production to walk out songs. They shut the cage. I looked across at her and I'm like, I think she's foaming at the mouth. And I was like, I think I need to go. I was a chiropractor and being in alternative healthcare, I'm like, I'm pregnant and this and that. I was like, you know what? I'm going to have this baby at home because I'm going to prove I can do this. So,
goddamn.
Yeah, I felt very strongly that it was the right thing.
Like, I got this. I don't need nobody.
It's like a spotlight. It's like you're sitting in an interrogation room, and all of a sudden, there's the spotlight on your life. And then you go, oh shit! These things have been here, but like you said, they're just buried for everyone. Behind just surviving life, providing, nurturing.
Or that's what I see in most people that are 40. But like you said, technology is advancing and most people now survive for at least 80. So you're only halfway. So it's like, you're going to start whining now, bro. You still have the other way to go. You gotta find that spark in your life, no matter what age you have. But a lot of people like accept the life they're given instead of fighting for the life they want.
I love that. Write that down.
It's one phrase I've been saying since I'm 16.
Yes, that's a mantra right there. Love that. Velour, tracksuit on and our orthopedic sneakers. And, that's our wardrobe now. And we need to go and bake and take care of the grandkids, and why bother with makeup? And no one, no male will ever think you're hot again. So don't worry about that. The women that are like, oh, well, wow, this is going to get me in trouble. But I'm married now. I have the kids. I've been doing this for 10 years. I just don't feel like working. It doesn't matter what I look like anymore. I got the life and I can let it all go. It doesn't matter. That pisses me off more than anything in the world, because, you have some pride in yourself. Your partner's not going to be attracted to you anymore. And you're going to be bitching he doesn't, want to have passionate sex or affection, but you let yourself go. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, in different countries, especially like in Asia, their thought process is like, women are so valuable as they age because they have all this knowledge. Like, we've made all the mistakes. We can teach you how not to make the mistakes. We can pass on just a wealth of experiences. And that, that's what I believe. I believe, no, we didn't die out. We have a very important job to do. I just also believe we should look really hot while we're importing this for as long as we can.
Absolutely. Welcome back on a Rumbling Facts podcast, where critical thinking meets uncomfortable truth for real growth. This is your number one destination, people, for challenging the script, speak what's real, and build to the next level your mindset, one hard truth at a time. I'm your host, DJRetsam, a rapper, creator, truth seeker myself, and the founder of a nonprofit called Making Others Read, where we take unwanted books and give them back to the communities. In the last 3 years, we gave back over 100,000 books. If I can give back knowledge, if it's by the books or by the podcast or the music that you guys go stream, well, I that made my day, people. I don't ask for more. And this past year alone, we surpassed 220,000 streams on Spotify. Fucking amazing. Never thought we would get here. And if you know my story, you know I've been through hell and back, and I came out louder, sharper, and more determined than ever to help others in any way I can. Whether it's through the book I give back, my story, or the guests I have on, or the music, well, I'm just here to make your fucking life even easier. And this is Rumbling Facts Podcast, people. Subscribe to a goddamn channel. Our guest today doesn't just walk through the fire. She is fire. So if you're ready to hear from somebody who's been broken by the system, rebuilt by will, and now breaking the rules and heal others, stay locked in. This episode isn't just a story, it's a movement. Today's guest, she's a world record powerlifter, people, a certified badass in the MMA cage, a survivor of an assault, and a healer in this chaos. Dr. Kellfire Barron isn't your average wellness expert. She rewrote the whole story of what it means to be a woman in her prime. She's a certified menopause specialist, a licensed acupuncturist, never said that word before, chiropractor, and fitness beast, a founder of
Tempest is the Italian word for storm.
The movement helping women reclaim their wild, fierce energy during midlife. From competing on the American Ninja Warrior to hosting her own show, the Kellfire Show, she becomes a voice to empower women to stop shrinking and start burning bright again. Her message, you are not broken, you are becoming, people. And today we're bringing that message straight to Rumbling Facts Tribe. So please welcome Dr. Kellfire herself, Kelly Barron. How you doing?
Hi, Sam. Thank you so much for having me on today. I'm super excited about this one. This is going to be cool.
I really appreciate you coming on. When I saw your incredible journey, a lot of people there, you see them at 40 or 50, and when they talk about how they feel inside, they're like, wow, this is 40, this is 50. And it's like, that's not the way life should be there, because let's say you would keep yourself like in shape and everything, you don't feel like they say in the movies, oh, this is 40, people, because you kept in shape. But a lot of people like are so in the conventional ideas of how should people be. A woman should be this, a man should be that. Let's start by taking us back to the beginning, when your life really changed forever. Can you walk us through that day that you were assaulted? Can you walk us through it?
Oh, absolutely. I was in my very early 20s, and it was my very first night working at a new job. It was a nightclub, and I was always more of an introvert kind of person, and I walked out at 2:30 in the morning with the staff and forgot my jacket. Everybody, I didn't even think. We're in the parking lot. I ran back in to get it. When I came out, everybody had left. A majority of the people had left. No one was in the parking lot at the time. And I went to get in my car. I just didn't think. I had a very naive version of the world. Like, there's no harm that can come to anybody. And I went to get in my car, and there was a gentleman, and I say that loosely, who was at a different car, hidden. And when I went to get in the car, he jumped out and chased me through the parking lot, got me down on the ground, started beating my face into the pavement and choking me. And luckily, before it could get into any kind of sexual assault or any kind of permanent damage or even death, there was one manager who had still stayed in the club, and he had come out, and he was able to pull the guy off and then call the cops. Wow. So that it got a little interesting too, because this was a very well-known man in that area who had built a lot of things. So the cops' response, and at the time, again, young and naive, the cops' response was, are you okay? And I was just in shock. And I was like, yes, there's blood everywhere.
I'm breathing, so.
And they just told the manager, who everybody knew everybody there, they just said, why don't you go take her for a drink? They didn't offer, we need to get to the hospital. We need to do this. And I just got in my car, and I was like, no, I mean, I need to get back. I need to get to family. And when I had initially saw the gentleman who happened to then, they figured out he had been kicked out of the club earlier. He was on all sorts of drugs. When he jumped out from behind the car, my key was already in the lock. And this is old school. We're talking 90s. So there's no push button here. And it must have bent a little bit. So, and this is what they told me. So when I left the cops and got in my car and started the drive home, and it's down a dark highway, there's no lights, that little bend, it did something to the starter. So my car broke down. So now
on your way home from that night, oh my god!
I don't even know what to do with
when
myself.
You just want to be safe and just get me home, people. Wow.
I just wanted to get home. There was no cell phone, so I couldn't call my boyfriend at the time. There was nothing, so I had to run through this like little woods buffer on the highway and start knocking on doors at 3:30 in the morning. And of course, no one's going to answer their door. And at one point, this elderly couple answered their door and they didn't even want to talk to me. They just threw the landline phone out the door and shoved it. And they said, "What number?" And they dialed, and it took a little while to get anyone to answer. And then finally family answered and they came and picked me up. So probably one of the most, it's very traumatic. People have gone through much worse. People have lost lives, people have been sexually abused, or assaulted, but this was pretty damn. It was one shitty moment after the other.
Mm-hmm. And it could have went so worse in a fraction of a second. That guy didn't come out there, and you never know. My goodness. So what do you think the motivation of that fucker was at that initial moment? Was it a combination of like the drugs he was at and like it's 3-something after a bar and he's just horny as shit? Do you think?
I don't think it had any sexual.
Okay.
By beating me in the middle of a parking lot, I don't think he had any. That wasn't in his brain. He was very, like I said, he was very well known. The cops buried the story. They buried. I called the next day to find out, okay, were the charges submitted? And they go, "What? We don't have that report." And wow. I was like, I don't understand. And let's just say that this gentleman built multiple strip clubs and restaurants in a very resort area.
Yeah.
And then he disappeared. So he disappeared for a while. Nobody could find him or anything like that. I think they said he was known to be on meth quite a bit. He was in the nightclub that night, and it was the biggest nightclub in that area, and he was thrown out. So I think he was just out of his mind and pissed off with rage. And I just happened to be...
wrong place, wrong time for him, yeah.
I think so.
Well, that moment, like, you're realizing how dark life is there, because we never expect those moments. I remember when I was a kid, I was like 15 years old, and my cousin disappeared at the park that we were at, and we never found her. Here we are 20 years later, still talking about it, and wow. And we still don't have no leads of nothing. And my mom back then, my mom let me go anywhere I want, when I want, as long as I was in school and I went to bed at a normal time. Like, she didn't care. And after that moment, wow, like she put a cord on us. Like we couldn't just go anywhere there. She was realizing that even somebody close like that, our cousin, like literally disappear, vanished. And my mom was realizing, damn, life is probably not as rainbows as we think there. No, because there's some dark corners in this life there. Wow, it's incredible. Thank God that guy was there. Did you re-talk to that guy that came out and stopped?
Yeah, he said, "Kelly, you have to understand how high up he is, how no one wants to, the cops don't want to get involved. Everybody, this is not, like you said, this world is not rainbows and unicorns. Mm-hmm. You don't realize how dark, or we'll even go as far as to say how gray life is." Exactly. And he said, I'm so sorry. And he did, from what we know, he did leave the area. I will only say this. 6 months-ish later, he entered an after hours. It was an after hour, like an industry. Everybody in the industry would go from 2 to 5 a.m. So it was after work for everyone. And I was there. I was with several people. And I just saw this individual, like, that was the first time I had ever seen the man. I didn't even truly recognize him. I mean, truly get a good look at him during the beating.
Yeah.
But, I did do a little research as best as I could. And then this individual came into this bar, and I was just sitting there, and my eyes went wide. I didn't even know what to say. I just stared, and vigilante justice was done that day. And that's all I can say. But it was taken care of. And he disappeared again for a very long time, and I've never seen him again.
It's incredible how cops they're like even back then they're gonna protect or they don't want to deal with a certain subject because the person is too high or it's gonna be too much hassle. I had a DEA agent on, and he survived a murder attempt by a criminal that brought him on the auto route while he's hanging by the window. It's really fucking incredible. And
Wow.
at the end of everything, he had to shoot the guy while the guy's driving because the guy was gonna rip him off with the fence that was coming. So he was putting the car. So he shot the guy, but he flew out the car. So he had to retire by force because of the injuries and everything. And a couple months later, when he's trying to rebuild himself there, he learns he got probation for life and nothing else for attempting to murder a cop there because the guy was like, oh, I'm going to sue the DEA. I'm going to sue the FBI. I'm going to sue. So they were like, oh, no, no. So it's crazy that we all think that, oh, a rule is broken and everything's going to get fixed.
Yeah.
It's not like that, even for the cops at the highest levels. It's quite incredible. Your story is such one of resilience. We know it wasn't easy. How did you begin to rebuild your body and mind after this attack? And what role did fitness and the physical aspect and maybe the mental aspect in your recovery? How much was that a huge impact?
MMA became a very huge part of it. I spent probably the next 10 years into my very early 30s. I couldn't be, I was married, I started to have children, but I still couldn't be alone at night. So if I was left, if my husband had gone away or was out, I would just not sleep. I would sleep when the sun came up.
Wow.
And I could go out and I could go places, but I would get very skittish if it was dark and no one was around. So there was a definite issue, and my husband had said, "You can't be a mother. You can't not protect your children." And he wasn't saying it bad. He was like, "I have to help you be able to protect the children and protect yourself." So he got a Jeet Kune Do practitioner that's Bruce Lee,
Yeah.
was very high up, and he came to the house once a week and started teaching me self-defense to the point that
No fucking around, baby. You don't even need to move. He's coming here. Let's
like,
go.
no, and not bullshit like self-defense. He
Yeah,
was
yeah.
teaching me how to bite, how to shoot, how to like take eyes out, things like that.
There we go.
And I started teaching women self-defense with him and then on my own because I was like, this BS that they're teaching women, like, no, like this is real world. You're gonna have to hurt someone because you're probably not gonna outrun them. I know that for a
Or
fact.
outstrength them all.
Exactly.
That's
So
it.
you're gonna have to get nasty. So I started to get comfortable, but I knew I was kind of wallowing in this victimhood. I wasn't talking about it. I didn't consider myself a victim, but I was in that mindset. And I was like, this is bullshit, Kelly. You've got to get out of this. And the only thing I could think of, and this is what kicked off everything in my life, was you got to put yourself in a very freaking uncomfortable situation and figure out how to get comfortable with it. So the only thing I could think of was, okay, well, I can't just go out in the street and have a fight and feel good about it. I said, okay, I was in Colorado at the time, and MMA was becoming pretty big there. And females, you were starting to see a lot of female fighters come out. And so I said, okay, I want to get in. I want to fight. I want like a legal, sanctioned, consensual
Yeah,
fight.
yeah.
But
Penn Central.
all that I'm working on is will this bury the demon? And that I took that first fight. I trained really hard for it. I was by no means like some, phenom at all.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
No, I was 38. I got into I went to weigh-ins and we faced off, and I'm like, she's like 21. Oh my, maybe like this is just a little girl. But, and then I'm like, but I got this, and I'm like, let me stare her down. And I was like, I'm going to break her will. It looked like I did. And then the next night, they get you in the cage, this big production to walk out songs. They shut the cage. I looked across at her and I'm like, I think she's foaming at the mouth. And I was like, I think I need to go. I should just go to the bar. And I'm like,
jump over the cage right now.
Can we just be friends? And no. And then they say, all right, go. And
protect yourself at all times.
2 or 3 movements, nothing's really going on. And all of a sudden I'm like a deer in the headlights kind of, and she throws a freaking haymaker that comes down on my nose, slices me open. And I remember the first thought I had was, she's fucking hit me. Well, wait, you're in a fight. This is what's supposed to happen. And then, so that fight went on, and then I went on to take, 3 more fights, and
that wasn't enough for you. You're like, I got get in here again.
Well, because I lost the first fight by split decision, and there was just so much blood on me, and I was like, okay, that was good. I feel good. I know I
survived.
Then I was like, but I need to win. So then I went on, and I did a couple all the way up to I was 42 when I took my last fight, and enough trips to the emergency room, enough stitches that I then just segued into jiu-jitsu competitions. But that moment, that first fight, afterwards, after my face healed up from looking like I used it as a focus mitt for her, I thought, nobody's ever going to fuck with you again. And it wasn't physically, because I know our limitations, especially like we said, females versus males, or even females in weight, or height. But I knew mentally the victimhood was done. I was done. I was never going to let that come back again. And that's why I segued into jiu-jitsu, and then powerlifting, American Ninja Warrior. I was scared to death of all of it. The podcast, I hate public speaking. I sweat, I get nervous. But I was like, you know what? If you keep doing this, you will become so comfortable each time. Yes, it's scary, but you're going to put that demon to rest each time, and you're going to feel alive. And that's how it is. So I still continually starting a business from scratch, things like that, things that like you're doing, putting yourself out there. You do not just fall to the victimhood. You rewire your brain and you rise from it.
Absolutely. And how was that experience from the Ninja Warrior? Is it like somebody that calls you, hey, you're recommended, or you need to be like, hey, I want to show up and go there and show my skills?
So for that one, I was still in Denver, and MMA gyms were popping up all around. And in fact, the one that I trained at till my last fight is Factory X, and Mark Montoya. He's got so many fighters in the UFC. So I was training with UFC guys and Bellator guys.
Nice.
And because of that, casting called that gym because they figured, okay, there's
probably athletes here.
They called and they actually said, do you have a female that might be interested? We're looking to cast a female. And so, everybody's laughing. They're asking me, 40 something years old at the time, and no parkour, no gymnastics, no technique. I'm just a monkey, a bull in a china shop. And like, Kelly, do you want to do it? You have to audition. And I was like, oh, I would be so scared. And I was like, sure, I'll do it. Let's just figure it out. So I had to do an audition. So we set up sort of like our version of a parkour, which was hysterical. And I sent that in. And they chose me. And they also liked the angle that I was older, a mom, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So they did a featured special on me, like hoping she is going to freaking win this thing. This is gold.
Put pressure on you even more.
I did not win. I didn't make it far, but it was a great experience. It was like, sure. Gosh, there's TV, there's crowds. And afterwards I was like, I'm so glad I did that, even though I didn't even want to go at that point. I was like, I'm so scared. This is
But
scary.
just challenging yourself is so fun, and being like recommended just to be there is an honor. It's like the Olympics. A lot of people cry, and they're sad for years and years that they didn't get a medal. Bro, you showed up. Most
Exactly.
people don't even get to that, showing up for their country. So it's really incredible. And before you got in that cage the first time, like, did you tell yourself like you needed to do that at some point just to fight, like get it out of your system, like what you had inside of what you lived through?
Yeah, absolutely. I just knew, I call it a demon. It's not a demon. It's just an expression. But the things that darkness inside of me that was controlling so much, had no very little confidence, and it was affecting all areas of my life. And
For sure.
physically, um, I was like, oh, you've got to do this. You've got to confront it, and you've got to prove to yourself. And it wasn't the violence, it was more the concept, and it was the best way that I knew that I could do it. Before that, it started to show the rewiring of my brain started with, because I was in Denver, home births were very common, and then they were legal. And I was a chiropractor, and being in alternative healthcare, I'm like, I'm pregnant and this and that. I was like, you know what? I'm going to have this baby at home because I'm going to prove I can do this. So,
Goddamn.
yeah, I felt very strongly that it was the right
It's
thing.
like, I got this. I don't need nobody.
I was like, this is the healthiest way to birth a baby, and it's freaking scary. And I was like, but you know what? I'm going to do it. So I started having home birth. My children were all born at home, and then fighting, and sort of was the next level of, okay, I started to prove I could do something. And then I was like, okay, we have to go here. And then that just kept going
Wow.
all the way into, you know, powerlifting on a national and world level.
And you got records. You
I
broke
did.
record. Tell us about this. Isn't that incredible? Like, was that one of the plans at a certain point? Oh, damn, I'm close to this. I could maybe nail this record, or it just like, oh wow, I got a fucking record.
No, so once I moved from Denver to South Carolina, and so I put MMA in the past. There wasn't a gym, jujitsu, all those things. It wasn't really in this area at the time, and I had been Olympic lifting and a little bit of CrossFit. CrossFit's not my style because I don't like to run. I don't like to be out of breath. I'm one of those people. I'll run to the fridge, and that's about it. So I started just powerlifting on my own in a gym here, and not really with any intention of competing. And I said, I need, it was time. I need something else. I need to start going after something very uncomfortable because
You look like when you achieve something, you're like, oh, okay, next. Like, I need another. Wow.
exactly, like to feel alive,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to just fade off into my 40s and 50s. I'm like, what can I achieve? What can I strive for? So I started powerlifting, and I thought, ooh, I'm going to do a state meet. I'm just going to go in and try it. I'm scared to death. It's scary. Like, again, it's one of those things where at least you showed up. And so I thought, let me just show up. And it was an interesting first meet. It was kind of comical. And then I said, oh, I could get state records. And to me, I'm like, oh shit, state records. That's huge.
For sure.
So I did another meet. I got state records, kept working. I've done so many meets. It's like close to 30 now. And I just kept going on that. And then at some point I thought, powerlifting goes by your age group, your
Okay.
gender, your age group, and then your weight class.
Okay.
So I started looking at nationals, and I thought, oh, like, I could do this. I'm going to have to work really hard, but I might be able to do this. And I was able to do it. And then you start looking at the world records, and I thought, wow, I'm not far off here. Go for that. And
What a champ.
so I got all the world records in July in Vegas at the national competition. You can get
Wow.
worlds and nationals. And I did. And I'm going to make another run again if my back doesn't, decide to check out in July. But if I don't do it this year, I'll just go back. I'll probably do it forever till I'm 80 or 90 years old.
Yeah, because I'm sure the categories out there, I'm sure the people that are 90 and are women probably don't live that much. So if you stay a killer like you are.
I mean, I've seen some inspirational women. There was the last nationals I was at. She was 80 years old.
Wow.
And everything is relative, right? So she had on the barbell to deadlift 210s. That 210s. A younger child could do that, right? So you're that age, you're 80 years old, and that for her at that time, that was an insane amount of weight, and she went out there and she just freaking did it, and she was excited. She got a record. I mean,
wow.
I want to be that. I looked at her and I was like, I want to be like you when I grow up. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to still be going after something that I may or may not get.
Wow. I like your determination, and that is beautiful, seeing somebody that age and you're like, wow, she's still determined to achieve and get something out of this. This is incredible. In a world where so many people see trauma as a barrier, you saw it as a source of fuel at the end and turned this traumatic experience that you had into a source of power, not only for you, but for others. How did you first begin to channel this trauma and tell yourself, damn, I could really help other women with this?
I always had this sort of attitude that I thought was everyone's attitude. That like, let's go, let's live life. There's parts of life that are going to suck so bad, but there's so much potential, and it's all up to like you to find the positive in that. And I had patients, and I started working a lot with women that we were all transitioning, in this midlife area of our lives. And these women were losing their identities, or they had lost it because they'd just been caregivers. They've raised their children, their spouses, their jobs that basically took over their lives. And they just kind of didn't prioritize themselves. And I don't want to say there was a dullness in someone's eyes, but you could just see sort of a dullness. The spark wasn't there anymore. And I couldn't understand it. I understood the feeling. I understood all these women, their children are leaving the home for college. They feel like they have no purpose because I was living it. But I didn't understand, like, well, why are you wearing sweats and yoga stuff every day and, not finding something to challenge you or interest you? You should be like wearing that hot little black dress and heels, and you're in the.
If you still look great in it, goddamn right.
Right.
Exactly.
If you don't feel like you look great, work on looking great.
Exactly.
You've got another freaking 30 to 40 years left of your life, and you don't have to take care of anyone, which is the beautiful thing. You now can just live your life. And so at that point, I was like, I have to try to get through to people and let them at least think about that. Let it trigger something in their brain and for everyone, this is all going to look very different. Maybe, finding your inner fire is like, has nothing to do with clothes or how you look. Maybe it's getting a tattoo. This is all my midlife crap right now. Maybe it's taking a new fitness class. Maybe it's a new circle of friends or a new hobby. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can classify what it means to find your fire. For me, the perfect world is I would be like Stevie Nicks, and I'd be going out like this right now. I'd be on stage. I have a horrible voice, and singing and just living life to the fullest. Maybe that's not someone else's version of fire, but
I see you singing the song in the School of Rock there, just like the one we know.
Doing is letting me sing, like watching my mouth go, but muting my mic. Tambourine though, they give me a tambourine. I could probably be pretty good at that.
So you started this temperist. I got trouble saying that. So there's two other people, leader of this with you, that you created this with, or you're really the founder and you added the other people to work with you?
No, I brought this idea of this concept that I had since I had been working so long and so extensively with women, and we had been focusing on nutrition, fitness, weight management. And I always bring mindset into it because I think that's the biggest chunk of the battle. And obviously, that's something in my wheelhouse at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought this idea that, like, menopause, perimenopause, this whole midlife transition for women was just not being talked about enough. And what was being talked about was very negative. And I thought that we need to take this and give women a place that they feel like they're understood, that this transition in life was very relatable and they could feel comfortable. So I brought that idea with my husband. So he's one of the partners, and then a group of investors that were had companies in telehealth, and so they understood the telehealth space, they understood the vision, and we combined forces, with me being the face of the company and being like the spokesperson for the company.
Yeah. The one that takes the hit, but at the same time that is the visual of the company.
Right, I'm driving the vision of the
For
company,
sure.
and they are so also committed. And it's interesting. I have a team of in my creative department. I have a team of three mid 20-year-olds. I think they're all 26 and 27 males, and we brought them on for a specific function. They needed to help us with some creatives and some technical processes. These men, y'all call them young men, now know more about perimenopause and menopause than any male on the planet. And I feel like I've gifted the world with three men that really get it. And it's pretty funny. We put a meme out there one time where it was like, where can I talk to these menopause experts? And it's one of the guys, and he's like, I'm over here.
Right here. You taught me well. Looking forward, how do you see that platform like evolving for the future?
Well, I think the world of menopause and perimenopause is now, it's becoming a very big thing. The voices are out there now. There's other women who are putting podcasts out. That's why I started the podcast. Was I just wanted women to tell their story, because most women are afraid to tell their story, and that they can relate to someone else and not feel, this at this age in life, women tend to feel either embarrassed or introverted about their issues or misunderstood. So shame even. And I wanted them to know, no, we can talk about these things. It's you need to get it out, and you need to start living life. So I wanted to give it a voice to women and their different stories. And then I decided I'd start also bringing on experts in different fields so that we could discuss these issues very openly. And that's kind of how I decided, let's bring this voice out to these women, and let's really start discussing things. Menopause and perimenopause is just, if you're not, this is what we say, menopause is one day in a woman's life. It's the 365th day that you have not had a period. Sorry to be so blunt. So you're either pre or you're post menopause. We love to say that around here. So postmenopausal women too, we'll just keep this going until, let's take care of women from their late 30s all the way through.
By a certain point, you're gonna need to hire more people for sure, because
Yeah,
100% of the women are gonna go through this. So for sure, if you're only 3 or 5, you're gonna need an army to take care of everybody. But what you're doing is very incredible, because a lot of women, like my mother, for example, she was with my stepfather for 33 years, and when they left each other. They left each other because my mom was like, my two brothers had just left the home for the first time. So she was a woman for the first time, instead of being a mother or a career person, like you said. And right then and there, she was like, damn, there's missing like something in this relationship. There's missing, like, I don't feel like a woman like I should feel like. So she tried to fix it, and nothing worked, because sometimes when you're so in love with somebody, or you're trying to drive your career and your kids forward, you're so not thinking about what you need. So that's what happens. You guys become invisible to what you really need until the kids leave or the career change, and then you start re-looking at what you need, and you're like, damn, there's always something missing for a lot of girls. And my mom, thank God, she went back to the gym, and that's what fueled her to feel good again about her beauty, because she hadn't been told she was beautiful in years and years. And there was a guy that was like end of 20, and my mom was like beginning of 40. It was like, hey, you look good, keep doing what you're doing, like nothing else. They didn't ask her for a date, just that. And
Right.
that was such an impact from my mom. She's like, this kid that for sure I'm never gonna sleep with, like he finds me that I'm working hard and I'm attractive, and that there changed everything. It gave her a reason of why she was doing everything. It's after you start seeing the accomplishments, that's when it's really becomes a drug. That, wow, you accomplished that, let's get more.
Oh, I agree. And I have very personal experience with your mom's story. So I can relate 100% to that entire story. And I could only say that, yeah. And that's part of where this came from too, is that there's these archetypes of women, they say, and, you have your before you can, before puberty, and then you have your childbearing years. And then we were supposed to just go into what's called the crone stage, where you're done having children, and then biologically you're done having children. And technically your job on this planet is done for biological reasons.
Yeah.
And I think, and that's kind of how society viewed women, like, okay, well, just that's it. You can go be a grandma or something like that. But our lifespans have extended because of technology and how we view things. So then you find now you have this group of women, much like your mother, much like myself, who the kids are out of the house. There's no grandkids because everybody's having children later.
Yeah.
So these women have a block of 10 plus years where they are going through a hell of a lot of physical stuff with perimenopause and menopause, and they feel like they don't have a function. What are they supposed to do?
Yeah, what's my goal now?
Years are winding down, and they started to say, hey, this little period now is going to be a new archetype, and it's going to be called the wild woman stage. And that's where everything, like, I can't preach that enough. That's where I say, like, you're in this stage where you're not taking care of grandkids. You're not hopefully taking care of elderly parents or the spouse that has sickness or anything like that. Your job's kind of on autopilot at this point, or you're retiring. So why not get out there and kick ass and have some goddamn fun? Like, again, put that dress on, put those heels on, go have a martini, look sexy, do whatever it is that makes you feel sexy in this world. And like your mom said, it takes just one person to look at you and acknowledge that woman that's hitting her prime. We don't feel like we're hitting our prime. We feel like we're done.
Yeah.
And that's so not true. And I love your mom's story. And I'm so happy someone took the time to acknowledge what she was doing. And that became inspiration, because every woman needs that. And I would say this isn't an exclusive to women. Every man needs this. You get to a certain point in your life, and
we just live it different, but for sure that hits us as well.
Yeah, you're like, I've spent my life on the hamster wheel, providing.
I don't feel like I achieved.
Like, here I am. What am I doing? So everybody needs someone like that can acknowledge. And so I'm really glad for your mom. Very grateful.
It's so incredible, because I never saw my mom like driven like that, happy in life. It's so beautiful. Like I got trouble like having a supper with her, because she's so busy, because now her schedule, she's packing that schedule there with her new boyfriend there. She's doing trips. She never did that in her whole life. She was at home cleaning, putting us food on the table, and taking care of the farm, nothing else. And now she's just living. And you see that fire inside my mother, and she's almost 50. And the fire, I never saw fire in my mom my whole life. Isn't that incredible, people? It's so beautiful. And sometimes we need almost that dead end of that relationship to really have the impact, because my mom, let's say my brothers would have stayed there, I think it would have took even more years. But them leaving, and she's being a wife for the first time, not a mother, changed everything. She saw the drastic problem right away. But sometimes it takes more time, only because the kids are there, or you're so invested in your career. And women that are dedicated no matter what they are in.
It's like a spotlight. It's like you're sitting in an interrogation room, and all of a sudden there's the spotlight on your life. And then you go, oh shit. These things have been here, but like you said, they're just buried for everyone. Behind just surviving life, providing, nurturing. And so, yeah, then you see it and you go, no, this isn't going to work.
What I really appreciate about you and what you push out, you have such a unapologetic way to approach wellness. What do you think was wrong with traditional norms about women's health, and why do you believe that it's important to challenge those outdated ideas?
Well, to start off with Western medicine, and I'm not knocking all of Western medicine, but we are very driven to treat symptoms versus finding out the root cause of the problem. So we're very quick to go, oh, you have a headache,
Here's a pill.
Yes. There's medication for everything, or there's interventions for everything that just target the symptom. And that's so false. So coming from a perspective of an alternative healthcare practitioner, you want to look at what's causing this. And there could be multiple things, but it's like it's like a puzzle. It's something you have to keep going through and finding and really getting to the root cause. And it could be physical, it could be mental, it could be a combination. But especially in the realm of menopause, we weren't taught, doctors aren't really, they weren't, I think it's starting to really change now, weren't educated on this phase. And I think the stat was 80% of doctors coming out of med school had no exposure to what happens to a woman in menopause. Wow. And there was like 34 published symptoms, and now I think there's going to be a list of over 100 coming because everyone's different.
Yeah, for sure.
And just appreciating, like, a woman's body is changing drastically. And so when you have change, a lot of stuff has to go down for the next version of this woman to emerge with all these different, levels of hormones that weren't there. And, it wasn't talked about. It's not being addressed. And women were feeling very like, no one's listening to me. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. I have all this rage, or I'm crying, and no one, it's some anxiety, stress, take this. So I really wanted to start looking at, these symptoms, these things you're going to experience are going to be there on an individual basis. The severity is what we have to look at, and we need to start looking at it holistically. So where's your diet? Where's your sleep? Where's your stress levels? Where's your fitness? What are we doing to help your body transition through this versus masking it with a medication? In Japan, their degree, and in other countries, their degree of menopause symptoms is, and the way they view menopause is so, it's almost, I don't want to say non-existent, but it's so low compared to the US, because
really? Wow.
In these countries, they view this stage of life as a rebirth, which absolutely love. And when you have that mindset, this is a rebirth.
Yeah.
Yes, there might be some uncomfortableness.
It's like that glass half full, half empty, for sure.
Exactly. And here's some mechanisms to cope with some of the uncomfortableness. And here's what you should be excited about. Great, you're in this area. No more periods. Great, you don't have to deal with that. You don't have to worry about getting pregnant. So many different things. And so treating the body as a whole and trying to do things, like your mom, she's in there in the gym. She knows when she leaves the gym, she just physically feels great. Then she starts looking great, and her nutrition is on point. And when your nutrition is on point, your levels, your hormone levels and stuff, things are just cranking perfectly. Well, never say perfectly, really well for you. Yeah. So that's what I'm, that's my issue. And that's why I decided, okay, we can approach this. If you need medication, if that's like the only route, or that's the route you consciously researched and chose, good for you. You should. Everyone should have choice, and
Hmm.
everyone should be
Absolutely.
exposed to all the different options they have. So
Absolutely.
I'm not anti medicine. I'm not anti anything that you need to do.
Hmm.
I only ask that you research and you talk to your doctor. And if it seems like the best course of action for you, take it.
Absolutely, and you're so right. I realize that a lot of people, like, they're in their 40s and they're acting like they're gonna die in like five years. How depressed they seem, or like their flame is not there anymore. That's what I see in most people that are 40. But like you said, technology is advancing, and most people now survive for at least 80. So you're only halfway. So it's like, you're gonna start whining now, bro. You
Right.
still have the other way to go. You gotta find that spark in your life, no matter what age you have. But a lot of people, like, accept the life they're given instead of fighting for the life they want.
Oh, I love that. Write
Mhm.
that down.
It's
Somewhere.
one phrase I've been saying since I'm 16.
Yes, that's a mantra right there. Love that.
So let's fall in the uncomfortable truth segment. So I'm going to ask you like five questions, and it's going to trigger you some uncomfortable truths of this life. What's one of the hardest truths you realized in your career or life?
All right, one of the hardest truths. You it's a truth, but it's a positive at the end, that you're going to fail. It's inevitable that you're going to fail. You're going to fail, and you might fail 100 times, and that sucks. And really, it affects everything about you. But if you look at it like, each time that I fail, I'm learning something
A new
new.
lesson.
Like, don't do this next time, or don't do that, and eventually you will succeed. But yeah, you're gonna fail. You want to go in there thinking like, I'm the best at this, I'm great, or I got that. But no, you're gonna fail. But look at that failure as a positive. Take it in a positive direction.
Absolutely. I had a guy that says failure rules. That's his book, because we learn through those failures. And if you don't have failures in life, well, you think everything's chill. But when you do have that failure, you don't know how to deal with it. And a lot of people that had a lot of failures, like, for example, Eminem, when you went to the lowest of the lowest of nobody wants to listen to you, well, it drives you there to the highest degree to make these people listen to you at the end of everything. It creates a flame. What's the deepest uncomfortable truth you had to face about your own bias?
Ooh, my own bias. I don't know if this is a bias. I just think maybe the most I don't know that this is a bias, but when you just looking inside yourself and saying, yeah, I'm wrong. When you're like constantly, I was right, I can validate everything I've done. I feel like I'm justified, I'm this and that. And then you have to really take a moment, suck up your pride, um, open your eyes to what's really going on, and saying, yeah, I fucked this up.
Yeah, I was wrong with that one.
I'm wrong, whether it's with another person, whether it's just a business thing, it doesn't matter. Something you with your children, the way you parented, it's very, you have to take courage to just sit there
Yeah,
and
yeah.
go,
Admit to yourself you fucked up. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
yeah, because I don't like to admit I'm wrong
But me neither.
ever.
But it's strong when you can do it.
Right.
What's an uncomfortable truth you had to accept about the way success or happiness is achieved?
Um. Okay, so first of all, I had to. It was an early on lesson, because when you're young, but money does not buy you happiness, or money doesn't determine that you are successful. Um, that was first and foremost. And then success takes a lot of hard work. And too often, especially in today's culture, when you see, someone just made it on TikTok, or, someone got picked up on a label for their record or something. And we start to look at those people and we think, it's not hard work. It's not hard work. It's going to happen. And then we just slack and we sit back, and no, it's really hard work. And there are going to be days where you want to quit.
Absolutely.
You're like, no, I'm not, I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to go back to, pouring beer. It's well, that's stressful. And I was in the restaurant industry for 14 years. But you're like, it's less on my brain than having to start this myself or really push myself. So success being really hard work, and again tying in, and you're going to fail.
Absolutely.
There's no shame in failing. So
exactly. What's an aspect of menopause that you believe that is misrepresented by movies and media?
I would say it's that whole concept of we're done, kind of, that we need to move on and now get our polyester or velour tracksuit, velour, because I got one at Costco once, velour, tracksuit on, and our orthopedic sneakers, and that's our wardrobe now, and we need to go and bake and take care of the grandkids, and why bother with makeup? And no one, no male will ever think you're hot again. So don't worry about that. The women that are like, oh, well, wow, this is going to get me in trouble. But I'm married now. I have the kids. I've been doing this for 10 years. I just don't feel like working. It doesn't matter what I look like anymore. I got the life, and I can let it all go. It doesn't matter. That pisses me off more than anything in the world, because you have some pride in yourself. Your partner's not going to be attracted to you anymore, and you're going to be bitching he doesn't want to have passionate sex or affection, but you let yourself go. So anyway, sorry, I got on a rant.
And I find it crazy because, let's say I go to a convenience store. Well, I get dressed, I'm all clean, like A1 when I go to Dollarama. I don't give a shit where I'm going. It's for myself there. I feel great when I go outside, and I took care of myself before going outside. So we should do it for our own. And yes, absolutely. If you're absolutely in a relationship, well, tell yourself that person, you want to do more for that person. You want to look better because he pays the bills. He does a little extra here. So like, just letting go of yourself is not the right way to do it. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's just say you've both fallen into that rut, right? But so do for you, like, do yourself up so you look good, so you feel good, and that's going to rub off.
Oh yeah, it's going to motivate him for sure.
Most cases it's going to motivate them one way or the other. But when you were saying going out to the grocery store, like, I fell victim for a little while.
For sure.
Like, I'm not too ashamed to admit I had a pair of Crocs. Now they were, sparkly silver because I can't do anything normal. But I did run to the grocery store in Crocs till, people started saying, like, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe you put on, I love Converse. I love my Chucks. So put on your good Chucks instead of the Crocs. And I was like, you're right. This is showing
it just looks less nonchalant.
It looks like I at least intentionally put Converse on.
Yeah, you should not follow them. What's an uncomfortable truth about human nature that your career has shown you?
Yes. That throughout my career, I can say human nature, we really fail in the area of listening. And listening with an unbiased. So whatever your convictions are, your beliefs, your morals, your ethics, not everyone is going to be in that same, cookie cutter stereotype thinking that you are. And that's not wrong. That person isn't. Now we're talking about things that aren't like going to harm other people.
Yeah.
But I might believe, wearing all black all the time is amazing, and the next person might think, no, we got to go with pastels, and you're both right. I'm choosing something very easy to talk about, but through this journey, being in the industry, the medical profession, but just in life in general, just we do not listen. And if more people listened, and again with an open mind, saying maybe I don't agree, but, even when it comes to, ideas and being creative, someone might have this spectacular, we started an animation for Tempesta, the superhero who conquers menopause symptoms. And we'll sit and we will have, I don't like this, and I'm like, well, but I like this. just open mind, and don't judge anyone for what they believe. It's not your place to do that. They have a right to believe whatever they want, as long as, again, you're not harming anyone.
Exactly. Everybody's allowed to have their own opinion, but a lot of people literally can't accept it. And when somebody's talking about their opinion, since they already have their bias or their opinion, they're listening, but they don't literally care what the fuck is coming out. They just can't wait for your mouth to stop. So
Oh,
they're
yes.
like, yeah, but that don't work because she was ready. That person was just waiting for you to be done. She didn't care. So it's if we start caring about the opinions of people, well, for sure, we're gonna get a better script of how to help people. I think it's because they put everybody in the same mold for like everything. When you go see our psychologue, psychologist, well, they learn from a book. Well, you're telling me that every person trait in the world that is so different fits in all this mold? No, it don't, and it's for everything in this science of life. We're so individual, but they try to all put us in the same mold, like school. Like, oh, just if you remember that, you're considered smart. But
Yeah.
but having like the variety, I think that would fix a lot of problems that we have there.
I mean, how cool is it if everybody can be unique? How cool is that? That means that you're going to meet someone, and whether you believe in the same beliefs or not, like, you're going to like hear this person's story, and maybe you'll come away with something, or you'll at least be moved, like, wow, that's what this person believes, or that's what they've experienced in life, and it's so different from mine, and you get something from that. If nothing else, you get entertained. You had a really great conversation, your mind was blown a little bit, and this is awesome. If we were all the same, we'd be so boring, and
Absolutely.
nobody would want to be on this planet. It's the same thing with music. Like, we've got so many genres of music, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then when you can mix rap and metal, or you can do, you start fusing things, and people start collaborating, even bigger, more beautiful things come out. So just the uniqueness of everyone is why we're all on this planet. It's why we're still striving to do what we do.
You use cutting edge science with alternative healthcare to create a real transformative result. What have you realized from traditional healthcare that you do that they're not doing?
Well, again, like, we're looking more at the body as a whole. So, and again, I want to preface this, that this course of action may not be right for each person. They may have to go in a more medical direction. That is fine. But the way we do it, we have a line of supplements. We try to keep it really clean, so that one of the things, like if you're on Ozempic, semaglutide, it's a big thing right now because it's easy to lose weight. It's easier than putting, hours into the gym and being really diligent on your diet. And so for some people, that is the best course of action for them.
Mm-hmm.
So then I want to come in and say, okay, we understand this is what's happening. So let's just make sure the food you are eating is very nutritious, and that we can help you when you do finally come off the medication to maintain your success and have these new habits. That's typically not preached in the current medical world. And, again, tying into fitness and women lifting very heavy weights at this stage of life. There's so much that they derive from their hormones balancing out better, to osteoporosis, their bones being healthier because they stay that way. The way they look, the more muscle they carry, they just aesthetically, you look better and you're burning more fat. So looking at each individual, we don't have a dog tag,
No,
Mike
exactly.
to us that says, like, you've got to eat 1,500 calories and you've got to do this and you got to do that. No, each person's different, and what works for me isn't going to work for you, but let's figure it out and give you the best chance possible. And again, if you need to then turn to medication or any other version of that, then that's what you need to do.
I had a judge on that she went through meth for like 20 years and became a judge after and became sober. It's a fucking incredible story. And she was realizing that the sober path that the coaches teach people to get sober, well, like they try to put everybody like on the Christian, like God, bring God in it when a lot of people don't believe in God. So a lot of people would shy away from it. And she was realizing that a lot of them, even if they didn't have God, well, they're like, oh, like everybody could fit in that model. Like I read some of them and I was like, that wouldn't have got me sober at all. It's like I went through free base cocaine 10 years ago for 2 years, and like that's not what would have helped me. It's like I needed somebody to derail my train without asking me if I had a choice. That's what I needed. I needed somebody to derail me because you know that phrase that they say, oh, if he's not ready, we can't do anything. Well, that if people would have lived with that with me, I would have been dead. So when I hear that phrase, man, it's fucking incredible because every person has a different story to tell. One and two, we're gonna go through different things differently, and we're to adapt. We need sometimes different tools to adapt differently, but everything is made like in a mold. Oh, you're this thing, take that. Well, it's not like that. I think your way to really understand the person that's coming for your help and giving them the right advice after. I think that's the fucking best way to do it because you can't say, "Oh, your problem is menopause." Okay, so here's the program. Take care. Have a good day. Like that didn't fix shit. She's just gonna go on a thing that tries to fit with a mold, but if she's really different, she'll never fit there. You're wasting her time.
No, it's like I just had this woman who, um, she won't exercise. And part of that is because of her weight. So she doesn't feel comfortable exercising. It's not going to happen. So you can't sit there and force a template of exercise on this woman at all.
Oh no, she's just gonna run away from you.
She's going to say no. So you have to look at it and be like, all right, how can we work with her? And one of the first things I said was, how do you feel about a short 5-minute walk? And she was like, I can do that. I can walk down to whatever, there was water or something. I can walk down to the water and back. And I'm like, okay, perfect. Because that's your exercise. And we're going to start with 5 minutes, and let's, not even get drastic. Let's go a minute next week longer. Let's go 6 minutes. Like, you have to figure out how to work with a person and how they feel, what they will commit to, what they absolutely won't commit to. And you have to give it in such a way that they see, oh yeah, I want to do this. They see the value in it, and they feel it's their decision. So, you can say, well, we can do this or we can do this. And they feel, okay, I can do this. I've made the choice. I'm going to commit to this, and it's doable. And if I told someone like, okay, you don't exercise and you haven't exercised, but the key to success is I need you to start bench pressing with a barbell, and I need that weight to be real, at least one time body weight. No one would ever talk to me. They'd be like, this woman doesn't listen at all. She doesn't understand me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. In Western medicine, how is that gonna catch up to the alternative healing methods a lot of people have?
Well, I think there's a lot of women out there right now, some really awesome women who are pushing this same style of message that I am, that we need to really look at this. We need to educate doctors. We need to educate women. We need to educate the women's partners so they understand it. This movement is growing, and Western medicine is catching up, and they're acknowledging it. So it's a really interesting, really cool time to be involved in this area because you're watching it bloom,
Mm-hmm.
right in front of your eyes. So I think we'll get to a spot. I mean, we're almost there where you will be able to go and you will be able to see your doctors and feel very confident. They will listen. They won't dismiss you. And it's all coming from a group of women who decided, screw this. We're not going to do this filtered. We're going to shatter all the taboos. We're going to openly talk about this. Let's open our mouths. Let's just freaking pour a glass of wine if you're drinking, and let's talk about this shit, and let's not hide it. And I think that movement, the women in podcasts and books and speakers, is really helping.
Absolutely, and thank God we're in a world of social creatures and internet. That's why we have access to so many people. So I think your message can really gravitate to a lot of people going through something similar. So I got the critical thinking part. Is that okay with you, or you're limited in your time?
No, let's go.
Okay, okay, okay,
I
good.
don't know how critical I'll think, but let's go.
So critical thinking. What's your favorite personal achievement, either in your career or your life, that you're most proud of?
My children, raising my children, without a doubt.
That's a perfect
I
answer when you're a mother.
raised 3 boys, and I feel like I did a pretty damn good job. Obviously, they have their father too, so not taken away from. As a team, we raised them well. So,
Well, what's a surprising conspiracy or theory that you believe that is probably not conventional?
ooh,
Oh.
a conspiracy theory or something. I don't. All right, is aliens conspiracy?
Well, yeah, it's a theory, so it's good.
So I find it very hard to believe that we exist on this little planet and things that I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what an alien looks like. I don't know if it's an alien. I just think that there's no way that humans were
There's
populated.
life here, but nowhere else.
There's no whatever it looks like. It could be little, minion looking people somewhere, but something. And sometimes things happen, and you're like, how did that happen? Are we just all like an experiment? Are we in a movie kind of thing? So I would say with that, I have a hard time believing whatever you want to call it that's out there, that we're just alone and this unique special planet.
Absolutely. That was one of my phrases when I was a kid. Well, if there's life here and you think there's no life somewhere else, you're down there, because for sure there's a microbe, there's something out there. What's a commonly held belief in your field that you believe needs to be completely reevaluated, and why?
Ooh, okay. Let me think about this one. A common belief. Well, I think just that we have to. So if we talk about menopause, that's currently where I'm just knee deep in. If we believe we have to accept all these symptoms, these biological processes, the severity of it, not the actual processes. If we have to accept it, just take it on the chin and move on. This is what you're given. No, that's bullshit. I would say no. No, we don't have to just take it. No, there's no course of action that we can't take to lessen it or even, eliminate them for each individual. So yeah, no, I'm not accepting
that. What's an example of a situation where thinking outside the box helped you solve a problem that others couldn't?
I think all I do is think outside the box, and sometimes
that's why we had you on.
It sure shit doesn't work out. Me outside the box,
I think you lived outside the box.
I live outside the box a little bit. I think I don't even know if things are outside the box that I do. I just think that I try to approach something and I try to look at it through my eyes, which tend to be rose-colored glasses, or they tend to have, sparkles in them that most people are like, I don't
like Elton John.
I don't even understand what they're like. Not Flava Flav, who's the one with, maybe it's Flava Flav. Like, what is she thinking, and why is she thinking like this? And I'm like, just trust me. Trust me, something good's gonna come out of this. So I don't know if there's a specific outside of the box thing. I just think in general, just don't take things on face value and don't take the typical route solution. You never know. You just never know what odd thinking can just open up a whole new solution or avenue for you.
And people are so afraid of the like not knowing the unknown there, so that's why a lot of people don't try and start stuff. The person wants to be a painter, but it's working at a shop constantly, and you're like, why don't you paint? You're like, oh man, I don't have time and everything. It's like, well, you got nights. Or he's like, oh well, I'm tired. I'm like, damn, it's like you're sad all the time, and you're just waiting for this Friday to be happy for 2 days to not even do your passion. It's like, when are you waiting for? Are you waiting to be 60 to start painting if you want to paint? But you got to get into that uncomfortable. And what's a concept or ideology that most people don't understand or misinterpret, but you come to realize that it's probably crucial?
Well, I would say, again, I'm going to go back to the female end of this and this stage of life, and this ideology, this belief that, we're done, that we're just passing the time till we die, and we have no purpose. And I highly disagree with it. And if women would understand this, not only can you live your life and do all the things that you and I have already talked about, but I have no research on this, but I had just watched a speaker on the internet, and he's I believe it's Middle Eastern research, or what his specialty is. But he talked about women, and he talked about why do women outlive men? And everybody always laughs, and it's because a woman takes care of the man, and so if she's not around, or men don't take care of themselves enough, or women drive the man to die. They've driven him. I love you, Mom, but I've seen my mom turn a man's hair white because she's been a handful. But he said the theory is that we move from having children to being the bearers of wisdom and experience through women are multitasking. Their hands are in so many different things, and men, they focus legitimately on, okay, I got to provide, and she's going to do all these other things. Yeah. She's like the
octopus.
She's the chief operations officer of life. and he's in there, and he's doing a specific job. So the theory is that biologically, we can no longer bear children, and now our job is to pass the wisdom on to the future generations. So that's why, and teach them. So yes, it's very much a grandmother role, but that we're the bearers of wisdom. So we live longer because we have to impart this wisdom that we've learned onto the next generation, or the generation after that. And that, that's I firmly believe that. I think,
compared to Western civilization, that they think they're useless after 40, when in that culture they're like, no, that's when you become more important, because everything falls down on you for the future. It's incredible how two civilizations see that completely different.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, in different countries, especially like in Asia, their thought process is like, women are so valuable as they age because they have all this knowledge. Like, we've made all the mistakes. We can teach you how not to make the mistakes. We can pass on just a wealth of experiences. And that, that's what I believe. I believe, no, we didn't die out. We have a very important job to do. I just also believe we should look really hot while we're importing this for as long as we can.
Absolutely. You're a chiropractor, acupuncturist, and a menopause specialist. What does blending all these three disciplines unlock in that traditional care misses?
So it's very rooted in the holistic approach to everything. So again, looking at the body as a whole. And we can't prescribe medications. We can't order a lot of lab tests and things like that. We do work with other providers so that we can say, refer out or say you need to do this or that. But we just look at everything from a very the nervous system, the musculoskeletal system, and then if you get into acupuncture, you're looking at energy pathways or things like that. So just looking at the body. Each individual body.
So I would think that, since I don't know much about this, it's like a 3D printer. Since you have all three things around, well, you can really analyze the object or the person you're trying to fix than if you just have one of those backgrounds. That's how I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, you can bring. There's different tools now, and different. Acupuncture doesn't, you have Eastern and Western version of that. So, you're drawing from different areas and trying to just be like, okay, what is going to be the best course of action for this person? And what tools are at my disposal to help them?
And like we were talking about earlier, there's literally some give and take in everybody that you listen to. But a lot of people are like, oh, that person said that thing that I don't agree with, and now they're anti that person. there's some give and take, and everybody can teach you. A homeless person can teach you a lot in life, but a lot of people don't take the time just to listen to other opinion, other story. You teach self-defense physically and mentally. What is the most important tool that every woman should carry beyond fist?
Well, I think one of the most, we could get into different beliefs on if you're in a concealed weapons area, if you can carry a gun, or if, and everybody's going to have different beliefs and comfortability with that. Please be trained if you do.
For sure.
Or a knife, a pocket knife, a taser, pepper spray. I'm not a big fan of things that if you don't know, if you've not been trained, like you're an expert, you should not have it. So if you don't know how to use a gun, you should not be carrying it.
No.
They use a weapon. Guess what? That knife, if you don't know how to use it, it's going to be turned on you. If you have no, like pepper spray, like you could spray yourself, or you get caught in the mess. But what women almost always have on them is a set of keys in bad situations. Now, not always. So if you don't, if you're not walking to or from your car, always be aware that anything and everything is a weapon. Everything.
Yeah, for sure.
So training yourself so we go through the stoplight method. Like you get into a situation, and even if you're in your own home, is this parking lot, is this a green light situation? So we go green, everything is normal. You might have daylight, you're in your home, everything, people might be home. This is a very safe situation. So your alertness has to be low. You're yellow. So it's dusk in the parking lot. There's like a handful of cars. You're parked far away. You're not really comfortable. Your spidey senses are going off, or somewhere in your house or anywhere you're at. That's a yellow situation. So you need to be, you need to start looking around and saying, okay, let me just breathe, but let's be aware, very, very aware. And then you have a red situation where you're just
I'm in a danger.
Or you're like, I'm in a dark parking lot. There's nobody around. So you have to be like, okay, this is a potentially a dangerous situation. What do I have to defend myself? Where can I get away? How can I not be cornered? Where's the exit? So you have to really start analyzing the situation. Doesn't mean something's going to be bad. It means you have to be armed and ready. So a set of keys is usually a great weapon because you can just put them between your fingers. You can have one of the keys out and you're going to take someone's eyes out. You're going to do some damage with just that.
That at least you can go away after, for sure.
You scratch like something. And outside of that, then you just need to know that, be aware. Like I said, a stick on the ground can take someone's eye out. A rock, a tire iron. You don't usually have those hanging around, but let's say you're changing your tire, and that's where it happens. Piece of glass.
You put a little brick inside your purse there, so you're just hanging around with your purse, but you know that out of nowhere you can just throw that purse in his face.
Anything can be a weapon, including fingernails, whatever it is. So just run through your plan. As people are like, oh, why am I going to start thinking about something that will never happen? Well, it's probably going to happen. Or I shouldn't say that. There's a very good chance something could happen to you. So why not at least pre-think a little bit? And mindset, though, that's your biggest thing. Honestly, I take back the keys. Mindset. Having that mindset that I cannot freeze. I just need to get away. I just need to get away.
Being conscious of everything that happens around is so important. I went to see friends in Montreal a couple of days ago, and his girlfriend, when she arrived back at home, she's like, "Oh my God, you guys won't believe what happened." We're like, "Damn, what happened?" She's like, "The guy grabbed me by the arm." I'm like, "Damn, let me go." I tried to walk, he re-grabbed my arm, and we're like, God damn. And then she ran away, and the guy was like, "Hey, let her go." And the guy just stopped in his tracks, or else he was continuing. And her boyfriend was like, "You didn't hear the guy coming in back of you or anything?" She's like, "No, I had my earphones on." I'm like, "What? You had your earphones on walking in Montreal? Are you fucking kidding me?" The only thing you're doing is giving a chance to a car or anything around you to touch you before you realize something's coming, and that is dangerous because that is too late when that happens. Because if the guy is experienced or the person is experienced, I'm like, he would have grabbed that neck of that person in 8 seconds. You're falling asleep, and that's it. Because the girl had no doesn't know her surrounding because you're there with your headphones. It's like, it's all good to listen to music, but you need to be conscious that life is dark and fucking dangerous, people. And no matter if you're a dude or a girl, because there's more guys that get attacked at night than girls by the stats. So it's quite incredible. So,
well, it's like, sorry to break
no,
in.
go ahead.
It's like a very important strategy that women and men and children, like everybody should have, is that majority of the reason, especially women, why they get attacked is because they're perceived as weak or easy, right? It's easy. Like
Easy
your friend,
target, yeah.
okay, she's got headphones on. She can't hear me coming. Or you start going, oh, don't hurt me, things like that. So in those situations, you got to look like a psycho. You have to be a problem for that person. They don't want to deal with you if you're a problem. So if they look at you and you're like, you're not planning on fighting the guy.
Yeah.
It's just like, don't fucking do this because you're going to regret it. He's like, this one's going to be a problem, or like pulling the arm off like she did. Like, I don't want a piece of this. I just stepped into a honey badger over here. This is not good for me. So if you cannot have your headphones in and you can not just cower, look like I can figure this out and he doesn't want to handle this mess. That's your best. Like, that's a really good tactic to take.
I think it is, and the judge that I had on, she was kidnapped by 3 people and abused in a van and everything. And while she's in the van, she's realizing that she can't run out there because they're probably gonna kill her. But she was conscious enough and smart enough to be like, okay, who's the fucking leader here? Who controls this room right now? She was like taking, and she was like, if I panic or start yelling like being a crazy bitch, like it's very good in a lot of situations. Well, in that one, well, it's not, because they're probably gonna kill you right there because they're scared to get caught. So she did complete opposite, being all nonchalant, chill. This is what you want, whatever. Gave it. And right when she left that van, she started running and never looked back. And she's like, sometime if she wouldn't have been abused before, she would have reacted like hysterical. Right. And she maybe was dead when she retrospect look back at that. And she was like, if for example, I would have had a taser, and I could have stayed calm like I did, and right at that moment that I feel like I got my shot, and you're gone. So right. I think that what you said is great. Create chaos. Hey, I'm gonna be a fucking problem, bro, if you start fucking with me. That is a great way. But let's say you got no call because the danger is too close. Well, maybe being a nonchalant, relaxed, like he's gonna get what he wants to get, and the surprise factor of injuring him or taking out a weapon right there, it maybe saves the lives of people.
Oh yeah, they say, and then this is not, I'm not advocating this or saying this is the right way to go, but the same thing with rape is that power. They're like, oh, I got this power. It's not necessarily always like a sexual thing. It's I have a power over a weaker thing. And sometimes if you approach it like, without the hysterics and the chaos, and because that's what they want. They want to win. Yeah. And you're like, you don't have to be like, all right, let's get it on. But you could just be like, you could have this approach that this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. And,
out of nowhere, snap his arm in a Kimura.
Exactly. Sitting back going, okay, let's do this. It's like, you're like, all right, you lure him into this. He doesn't like it anymore because you're like, okay, and the thrill is gone. And then you gouge out his eyeballs right away, kick him in the nuts, and you figure out how to get away.
Yeah, I taught a few girls I care about the Kimura while you're on your back there. Because if you grab that arm, you can Kimura that person so fast, and a person that does not expect that, well, you're falling face first on probably cement, and if you do it strong enough, you're snapping the arm at the same time. So it's vicious.
Rear naked choke. Women go, oh, I can't do a rear naked choke, and men have such a big neck, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you have these bony little arms.
It's easier.
You slip that under and you don't know how to do that right. It's game over quick.
8 seconds.
You have enough time to get away and then keep running. But yeah, I agree. And Kimura, that's a good one.
Oh yeah, that is a good one. So you've built a brand around reclaiming their fire. What keeps your fire burning and when no one's watching? Tell us.
is these, like I said, these little challenges. It's waking up. There was someone I just talked to. He said, "Oh, I heard this podcast, and they say every day wake up and say today's going to be a great day, and then when you go to bed, say don't think about the shitty things that happen. Just pick out the one really good thing. So start and end your day like in a really good mindset." And I think it's always having something that I need to achieve, that I want to achieve, even if it's, it could be something that I know it's pleasant. It's not going to get uncomfortable. Or having something very uncomfortable to eventually say, hey, I did that. Even if, again, I failed, like I showed up, I did it. And I like to start the day, and I like to start today saying, like, today is going to be a great damn day. I'm going to kick today in the ass. And I also say before today kicks me in the ass, because it is going to kick me in the ass. At some point, it's going to make me pissed off, but I am going to start the day out great.
Oh my God, that's so similar to what I say. I'm like, instead of thinking of the day of like, oh my God, this day's gonna take me over, it's like, no, how am I gonna destroy this fucking day? Let's go. I'm breathing, people. That's how you guys see it.
Right, exactly. And if if you're a realist and you're like, today's gonna be a great fucking day, chances are something's gonna go wrong, but I'm still gonna fucking slay it. When that bad thing does happen, you're not like, oh, see, today wasn't a great
saw
day.
it coming. Yeah, exactly.
Like, knew this was going to happen. So
yeah, because it validates your laziness of like, okay,
this was the best you could throw at me today. Nah, that's not even close.
You were awesome to have on. Where can everybody find you on your socials and check out your stuff?
So our website, we have two websites, My Tempesta, and it's TEMPESTA, because yes, it's very difficult. MyTempesta.com, where we work with, menopausal, perimenopausal women. Our supplement line is drkellfire.com. You can find those there. Very Stevie Nicks vibe. And the podcast, thekellfireshow.com, is where you can figure out where to stream it from. And then Instagram, my personal Instagram is open. It's public. So it's I am Kellfire. So the letter I-AM Kellfire.
That's it. So thanks for coming on. I had a blast.
I think it was fun.
I think it's so important for a lot of people, not only women, but to hear this episode, because there's so much to learn in life. And if you've been fed by what the media tells you and you stick to it, well, we all think that we're worthless after 40. So finding our passions and stuff like that, it's really inspiring what you're doing. And it's really incredible everything you achieve too. You're really a trailblazer in life. And I was honored to have you on. So thanks for coming on. And
thank you, Sam. But I have one question.
So
when I do the podcast, at the end, I ask every guest, like, if you had a song. And so for you, I'll either ask for a song that, so I have a Spotify playlist, and it's so eclectic. So either one of yours, if you have it on Spotify, or a song that resonates with the journey that you've been through.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, I got the perfect one for you.
Come on, open Spotify. Let's go. Okay. What is it?
So you write DJRetsam. That's a DJRETSAM.
Oh, got it.
And I would recommend, there's two in particular there, Freebase Symphony, that I would say. And the other one is I Don't Give a Fuck for Real. Both really, the first one is really my story of addiction and how I came out and how I try to help people in this addiction. And the other one is more like of everything, me coming back sober and where I am now. So you get a bit of both in those, so you can choose which one you want there.
All right. No, I put them both on. I'm excited. Thank you for doing that for
me. Perfect. And tell me what you think after.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on. It's been so much fun.
It was a blast. So thanks, everybody, and have a great weekend.